life imitating fiction. We'll get into that, as well as President Trump, and now are we getting universal basic income? Are we now getting a socialist answer to this crisis? Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock made a sci-fi futuristic movie entitled Demolition Man, which depicts a 20th century character, Sylvester Stallone, being revived in the middle of the 21st century and not recognizing life around him. It begins where he doesn't understand social distancing and the absence of toilet paper.
Sir, I formally convey my presence.
How you doing?
We are not used to physical contact greetings.
Germs.
Look, I don't know if you guys know it, but you're out of toilet paper.
Did you say toilet paper?
Oh, they used handfuls of wadded paper back in the 20s.
I'm happy that you're happy, but the place where you're supposed to have the toilet paper, you got this little shelf with 3 seashells on it.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
I can see how that could be confusing.
Who would have thought in this latest pandemic we would be out of toilet paper and we would be told to virtually hug and wave to one another? Now, of course, we know that there's a incredible social claustrophobia being created, that we're not allowed to do anything outside of our homes without fear of the plague taking us out. So if you're going to go out to eat, you can't sit in the restaurant. You've got to get it through your car window, get it to go. Is there really this issue, or is this just a way that Taco Bell is trying to take over the fast food industry?
So, what's with this cocktail guy anyway? He says I saved his life, which I'm not even sure I did, and my reward is dinner and dancing at Taco Bell. I mean, hey, I like Mexican food, but come on.
Your tone is quasi-facetious, but you do not realize that Taco Bell was the only restaurant to survive the franchise wars.
So?
So, now all restaurants are Taco Bell.
No way.
And finally, now that we're practicing social distancing, at what point is no contact of any kind, physical or otherwise, is going to be allowed, or you will be in violation of the law?
What's wrong? He broke contact.
Contact? I didn't touch you yet.
But I thought you wanted to make love.
Is that what you call this?
First sex has been proven to produce higher orders of alpha waves during digitized transference of sexual energies.
All right, Huxley, what do you say we just do it the old-fashioned way?
Ew, disgusting. You mean fluid transfer?
I mean, boning, the wild mambo, the hunka chunka.
That is no longer done. The exchange of bodily fluids, do you know what that leads to?
Yeah, I do. Kids, smoking, a desire to raid the fridge.
The rampant exchange of bodily fluids was one of the major reasons for the downfall of society. After AIDS, there was NRS. After NRS, there was UBT. And one of the first things that Dr. Cocteau was able to do was to outlaw and behaviorally engineer all fluid transfer out of societally acceptable behavior. Not even mouth transfer is condoned.
Kissing's not allowed?
Oh.
Damn, I was a good kisser.
Oh.
All right, then what about kids?
Procreation?
Yeah.
We go to a lab. Fluids are purified, screened, and transferred by authorized medical personnel only. It is the only legal way.
Yup. That said, the president has come out, and I understand that he is under tremendous pressure to do something about the not only health risk, but the financial collapse of our entire country. He certainly doesn't want to be FDR and administrating the Great Depression of the 21st century. So here comes the $1 trillion bailout.
One day we'll be standing possibly up here, we'll say, well, We won, and we're going to say that. Sure as you're sitting there, we're going to say that, and we're going to win. And I think we're going to win faster than people think, I hope. When we're finished, we will win. We will win. And when that victory takes place, our economy is going to go through the roof. Right. It is so pent up. It is so built up. It is so ready to go in an upward direction. But we have to knock out this enemy. This is a really tough enemy, but we have to knock out all of us. That's all of us. So I don't think in terms of recession, not recession. It's words. We have to knock out this, and we will have an economy. I actually think we'll have an economy like we've never had before. There's going to be a comeback very, very quickly as soon as this is solved, and it will be solved. We will win. And there will be a comeback, and it'll take place very quickly.
Now urging Congress to deploy $1 trillion right away, including money, checks that would be sent to American families.
Facing one of the biggest economic crises in American history, President Trump is urging Congress to inject up to $1 trillion into the economy.
We're going big.
One big piece of the plan, which is still being negotiated, direct cash payments to most Americans. The administration says it wants to start sending out checks to Americans right away. It's unclear how much those checks would be for. Senator Mitt Romney has proposed $1,000 per person.
Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks.
You know, we mocked Andrew Yang for his UBI, Universal Basic Income. Tulsi Gabbard tried to pick up that mantle since Andrew Yang dropped out of the election. Then even Mitt Romney came out and said we need to give every American $1,000 a month till this pandemic passes. Well, after the vote last night and the president signed off on it, basically every American is going to get $2,000 twice. Now and I guess, what is it, in May, June? My question is this how socialism gets introduced to us? Now, as everybody ramps up their fear about, are you seeing what's happening in Europe? Look what's happening in Italy. It is tragic. Yet at the same time, aren't all of these countries covered by socialized medicine? Why, they supposedly have the greatest healthcare systems in the world. What's the evidence say? What's the evidence purporting? And I realize that each day we're seeing the numbers double as far as active cases and even death. And it's horrible. I understand that. But still, these numbers are so disproportionate to not only the regular flu and pneumonia, but even the fatalities of automobile accidents. The reason there is such fear, the reason we have this quote-unquote pandemic, is the media is purposely and governments are purposely focusing on this one entity, this one viral outbreak. What if car accidents were being reported the same way by the media 24/7? What if the names of the 106 people on average which die every day in this country, every day 106 people die on average in automobile accidents, 38,000 per year? Do you think we would be demanding that cars be outlawed and that we need mass transportation? So now the president, feeling this pressure, because most people do live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, they can't afford to be without an income, even for a week. Some would argue, well, we pay in taxes. It's about time we got some of it back. Who's going to make this up on the back end? The very people that in the short term are getting help now. I look at this, and while I understand that people are facing real financial fear right now, the best way to fix this is not a bailout. It's let life return to normalcy. I understand there are age groups which are at serious health risk right now. Then they need to remain quarantined and protected. Wrapping the entire nation in a blanket of fear and hysteria? Has anybody thought about the long-term psychological effect this is going to have on people? I mean, long-term psychological effect. Because when they finally do start allowing us back to normal and it flares up again, people are going to scream, "You lied to us, we're not protected." It is a virus. The medical community is working round the clock, and laboratories and scientists to come up with medications, treatments, and ultimately a vaccine. That's what the real fear driver is here. Right now, there's no cure, there's no magic bullet, there's no medicine. It's coming. And when that comes, you'll see the numbers begin to subside, and the real normalcy will set in. Right now, we have to be very careful of not simply preserving people's physical well-being, but their mental well-being as well. And so we do need to not downplay the seriousness of people in certain age groups and with health factors not being susceptible to near fatality of COVID-19. Not downplaying that at all. But the long-term psychological detriment that this is going to be to countless numbers of people has to be addressed as well. Which is why churches need to be allowed to continue to operate safely, take sanitary precautions, step up the game as far as disinfecting and keeping the environment as safe as possible. But if you cut people off from each other completely and isolate them, you are going to create a pandemic even worse than this viral outbreak. Depression, suicide, despondency, rioting. We need to take that serious as well. And by the way, am I the only one that notices? And as much as I believe that this president is doing the best he can under the circumstances, I'm the only one that notices that when he stands up on the platform with the vice president and those that he is tasked with being in charge of this outbreak and how to handle it, they're not 6 feet apart from each other. As he addresses in the press briefing room, has anybody done a head count? Is there more than 10 people in that room? Something to think about, along with the rest of this hysteria. We need to relax. We need to breathe. Follow good protocol. Take care of yourself. But don't so isolate that we have stopped caring about love thy neighbor. Maybe you've got elderly family members or friends or neighbors, and they are hunkering down. They are quarantining. Are you checking on them? Are you going to the store for them? We can still take care of each other during this outbreak, this crisis. What we can't do is leave people so isolated that they begin to give in to the hysteria and the fear-mongering which they receive on a steady diet, because all they've got to do now is watch the news. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. I do read them. Help us spread this video. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell for notification of my next rant.